Okay, breaking news. This is as of 8 minutes ago. Sheduer Sanders is going to start. Interesting. The Cleveland Browns, this is as reported by ESPN just now. The Cleveland Browns will start Sheduer Sanders at quarterback in Sunday's road game against the Las Vegas Raiders. Head coach Kevin Stefanski announced Wednesday, as Dillon Gabriel remains in the NFL's concussion protocol. Okay. Look, there was a moment on First Take 2 days ago, and the reason I address this is because it's just complete rubbish, and where Cam Newton was on the record, and he actually did a decent job. When Cam Newton talks, I listen. All the pomp and circumstance and the top hats and he dresses over the top. Whatever, that's his style, and it's actually kind of cool. I like Cam Newton, right? But I did not appreciate what he had to say the other morning. It's just a disagreement that he said that Kevin Stefanski wants Sheduer Sanders to fail. That, to me, is asinine. And, he talks about the fact that by not giving Shedeur first-team reps, right, during the week as the backup, that Shedeur, when he gets put into that game against Baltimore on Sunday, was set up to fail. And, when Cam was the quarterback in Carolina, I forget who their backup was. It was Matt something. He was there forever. And he said that, that guy would always get at least 12 reps with the first team during practices. So he would be able to be ready if called upon to go in. Like, look, man, that's your situation. And Cam can shed light and add experience to his opinion like almost no one else can, right? There's very few guys who won an MVP in the National Football League, I just said National Football League, who are able to give opinions on national television. Cam is one of them. So look, man, I'm listening. I respect Cam Newton, but that's a shitty thing to say about Kevin Stefanski on national television. And it's almost, you could see it as a race thing, which makes it even more of a bummer. Like, Kevin Stefanski wants the Cleveland Browns to do well. And, oh, by the way, they'd better, or he's going to get fired. So it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback. And it has nothing to do with his personal opinion of, if Sheduer Sanders is a complete jackass, but Kevin Stefanski's not a dumbass, like, he knows that Shedeur is a play away from being the Browns starting quarterback. This is when Dillon Gabriel is a starter. So you want to do everything everything possible to make him ready. And you certainly don't want to do anything to make him deficient. And if you look around the league at backups, they don't take a ton of reps with the first team, if any, during the week usually. I mean, it goes back to the old Tom Moore saying when he was the offensive coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts. And the question was asked of him, why don't you give anybody else but Peyton Manning snaps in practice? Because he would say, if Peyton Manning's hurt, we're effed. So why even bother? And nobody hopped on Tom Moore's ass about that. And that's sort of true, right? Like, and again, that's a little, maybe a little aggressive, but you get my point. Like, this has been going on for decades. And so for Cam Newton to say that just absolutely sucks. And the reason it sucks is because of the power that Cam Newton has. And when you wield that power for crappy opinions like that can come back on somebody like Kevin Stefanski personally, who, oh, by the way, we're from the same neighborhood and I worked for his dad at the Sixers. His dad was actually part of the regime that ended up eliminating my position because I was terrible at my job. I don't get mad at Kevin Stefanski for that. In fact, I appreciate his dad and Mike Preston and the powers that be at the Sixers doing that for me, because it helped me realize that I was living like a moron and I was an alcoholic and I needed help. It took me a little time after that, but I could have an axe to grind with the Stefanskis, but I don't, because I'm not a complete moron. So Cam Newton, that was garbage, and I don't like seeing people wield their power for darkness. And I don't think Cam's a dark figure. But I think that opinion sucked. And maybe I believe that's how he feels too, but I would disagree with him. And like my boy Mad Dog Russo said yesterday, I did hear him on the radio saying how he would disagree with Cam Newton on that. And he said, I would like to think if I was on set, because he's on set this morning on First Take, he's like, I would like to think if he said that in front of me, I would have the courage to disagree with him and call him out. Because I'd like to think. I don't know that I would, because at the end of the day, it is Cam Newton, right? And he's sitting right there, and he's like this giant man with all this energy and charisma. I'd like to think that I do the same thing, but I have no idea. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. The Pete Souza Show, rocking and rolling. Thank you so much. We started early today, and Shahan Jayaraja was amazing. If you missed it, we'll have that up on the Pete Souza Show's YouTube page.